Hello, welcome back to Kaya Plus. I think it has been a while since our last update, so we wanted to change the format a little bit. It will be in the form of like a podcast. We will be talking about some of the new idea or some of the new things that we have learned in the past week, and then to give you a summary and our view for your reference. So I think in the past few weeks, again, the key topic is about ChatGPTs. There's a lot of interesting development around the AI industry that I wanted to share with you guys. So one of the things, I don't know whether Jupan basically heard of it before or not, is something about AI singer. So I basically came across this by going through a China website where they basically shared uh, a particular video covered by an AI singer, and then it basically break like 2-3 million views in a short time periods within Bilibili. So for information, Bilibili is like a YouTube equivalent, but in China context. So and then out of curiosity, I just go inside and take a look. And I think all of you should as well, if you are familiar with the Mandarin market. Is this AI singer is called AI Sun Yanzi. Uh, for me, it's very fascinating when you actually listen to it. And then the way he basically sing any other song or cover any other song, you can't really differentiate whether this is actually generated by AI or sang by the singer themselves. So I'm not sure whether Japan you heard of this or not. And then have you came across it, listen to the song?
Yeah, I think um, for those who cannot or find that accessing Bilibili might be a bit too troublesome, I think you can also easily access it on YouTube right now. So to give a bit of the context for those who are not aware of the Mandarin pop back scene, uh, Stephanie San or Sun Yanzi is actually a Singaporean singer that actually got into fandom or is quite famous within the Chinese or Mandarin pop. She has, I think, went quiet for quite a while, but I think the crazy part of this AI revolution is that someone managed to use AI and replicate her voice and sound to sing songs and covers of other artists. And the scary part is that it sounds really like her, but it is not actually sound by her. Right, you can actually go and check on YouTube. I think maybe other singers might be covered, but I think as of right now, AI Stephanie San is the most famous version of it. So I think that led to a lot of excitement and also fear as well on how AI can actually change our lives in the future. Lah. Right. So for Jubing yourself, do you find it just purely 100% excitement, or do you also have some reservation and fear of what AI can bring?
So every time I look into all these things, it's always on the two sides. So of course, on the upside, I think this is a bit fascinating. It basically, uh, if you think of it from business perspective, Spotify moving forwards may not even need actual singer. So can just use AI and then personalize to whatever you like, and then use it to actually push it to you. So it can be a breakthrough for Spotify per se. But then on the other hand, if this was I mean, this is going to be used by some guys with bad intention, then if you came across it, you do some Google, you will actually see their new next level of scam where they mimic, let's say, the voice of your boss and ask you to actually approve some payment. And it actually happened already. Although it's not a lot, but then it's also something to take note. So there's always two sides, but then our channel is about more investment centric. That's why every time we look into all these development, I'll share a few things that I think is quite interesting. You guys can always take Google it and take a look. And what does it mean from investment point of view? So if you're not following a lot of these news, so for example, Adobe also released uh, a new features. So it called generative fill. So what does it mean is basically, if you're familiar with Photoshop, you can basically draw, let's say, a box into the things. You can say replace it. So let's say it's a it's a picture of you behind the scene. It's like a seaside on a sunny day. So you can basically draw a box behind you and say, turn this into a gloomy day. That's it. So you just select, put in the keyword, and then you turn it for you. So this is also come with two angle. The same thing is very exciting. Basically, you don't need photographer anymore. The only thing you need is you need to ask the right question. You need to have imagination, and then you can have the right photo for you. On the other hand, means if you use it with the bad intention, of course you can fool a lot of people around. And then uh, as an individual, you need to be alert with a lot of things. All these things might not be real, even if being spread through even mainstream media. So this is another thing to take note. And the last one I wanted to share, which is I think is quite interesting as well. You guys can go and Google it. Is this thing called Index GPT? Is released by Chase Morgan Stanley. So-called a tool that you just need to ask the right question. He will provide you with suggestion, recommendation on what security to buy, and then it will be able to tailor to your preference. So you just need to put in a lot of input. So think of it, this thing come out. Even though me and Jupan is not like full time on this, being like a professionals, pursuing this kind of career, uh, it actually bring up an alarm that maybe you just need robot to basically act as an advisor for you. So all these things can be very scary, but then again, the thing is progressing in the rate that you can't even follow. So I mean, the key takeaway for me myself is always with this: if you cannot follow, you just need to make sure you keep an eye on it, and then you cannot create something out of it. At least you know how to use it. So for me, I have basically put a lot of my free time to check out all these things. So I tried out generative fill by Photoshop mentioned by me just now. I try to use ChatGPT as the tools to go to help me with works. So at least you are a power user. So I don't know about Japan. Have you basically used all these different tools to help your day to day?
I think it's inherent to actually learn how to utilize the basics like ChatGPT and also Bard from Google. I think now that both are available, we tend to be, you know, have two similar chatbots to compare, and we also try to understand the pros, the cons, the advantages and disadvantages between Bard and also ChatGPT. So I think to cut the chase and to summarize, since this is not a forum to discuss on the superiority on either one, but personally, I think that the very fact that if you have actually used Bard from Google, at least the information is updated, right? So it scours information from the internet and then does its best to answer you like what ChatGPT does. But the thing about ChatGPT is that information or database that OpenAI used to train it is still lagging. It's still back to data dated back to 2021. So the good thing about Bard is that whatever information, whatever questions you ask it, since you are not in the programming field, right? So we basically just want to understand what is happening and give a summary of what happened last night in yesterday's news. So Bard can actually tell you accurately what you need to know. It might not give you a perfect answer like ChatGPT, right? In terms of comparing each other, but in terms of accuracy and speed, Bard is actually surprisingly quite good. And I have been using Bard since it's right now free. And I also unsubscribed from ChatGPT Premium back then when I wanted to test out ChatGPT 4, which I think would be much more useful if you are doing much heavy lifting stuff, coding, software development kind of functions, then yep, it would have actually helped. But if you are just doing normal prompting or normal questions, definitely Bard is quite good and I would say very good for a normal user.
Yeah, I think taking from there, right? So I always wanted to take a step back and think about it. With all these things that we know about it, we try to learn, we become the power user. is it enough for you to survive in your workforce inside, I mean, to become better uh, and then get some career progression? The answer is I don't know, but if you don't take it up, you definitely will be out of the pictures. And then this is about the career part. But I mean, on top of career, there is always a lot of things that we wanted to focus on, like generating passive income through investment. So that's why we also wanted to take like a lot of opportunities is being appeared because of this AI rush. What is the thing that we should look into it? So the key thing that actually I wouldn't say confused, but there are too many progress being made, but then too little name that you can associate yourself to. So again, OpenAI is associated to Microsoft. There isn't a lot of big name that you can go after if you talk about those inside the application end. So it's quite limited, and a lot of it is like a core pilot, which is relate it back to Microsoft. And of course, Microsoft have been doing quite well after they announced the whatever arrangement they have made with OpenAI, right? So one interesting things about it is if you cannot find something interesting from the application end, you go to the back end, you go to the engine that powered it, you go to, so it's like you don't know which car I mean, which car company to invest. You just invest into the petroleum company because every car need petroleum. So when we talk about petroleum for AI, a lot of it is about, uh, some of it we'll talk about the computing power. Some of it we're talking about the hardware devices to actually help. And this lead to some of the things I wanted to share, which is a company they make like the headline, sort of like able to rescue the whole semiconductor industry, which is Nvidia. Maybe Jupan, you want to give a heads up or summary on what actually happened and how this thing make into a headline, and what is your view on it?
So I think to keep everyone uh, let everyone understand the basics, right? So what you say is very correct. Sometimes it's hard to pick a new company to invest in, or a prospective company to invest in, because for example, the company might still be loss making. It still might need a lot of chance and opportunities to grow. And chances are, in this current economic climate, you might not want to go after those small and relatively hyper growth companies, because debt is expensive right now. Companies are rushing to actually report profit. So you see with companies like C Limited, even Unity, all the SaaS companies who previously have been growing so fast with that, right now everyone wants to become profitable. And in this kind of scenario, you will want to cut down your risk appetite by a bit, go for companies that are proven, they already are in the profitable area or profitable zone. It's just that with AI coming in, they would actually see more potential to double, triple their profit. And companies like that are actually the basics, which are your chip companies, the semiconductor sphere. So a lot of times, even back then when people or investors want to bet on the next supreme EV companies, my approach back then was always the same, right? I never knew or never understand or even can anticipate which car company, particularly from EV side, can actually become the market leader. Even though right now we can say comfortably that Tesla is one of them, but if you drew down to very specifics, Tesla at the end of the day is still a strong segment when it comes to just normal consumer or commercial vehicles. In terms of pickup, I don't think they are as good as Rivian. Rivian has been quite progressing very well in the pickup EV segment. So it's very there are a lot of possibilities that you cannot confidently say that that particular company will eventually become a market leader. So when this kind of situation arises, you go back to the basics, right? What companies right now that will still profit and take advantage of EV, cryptocurrencies, etc., new trends that might come in, but will help them to grow further. It was actually semiconductor companies back then. And now that we are talking about AI, the thing is that of all the chips that can actually benefit the most from AI is actually your GPU, your graphic processing units, because you are training a particular software or artificial intelligence to think, react, and converse like a human being. And for this kind of simultaneous, rapid thinking, rapid learning kind of mechanism, only the GPU can does it. Can actually enable a computer to think, react, learn like a human. So very straightforward. Infrastructure-wise, GPU is a very easy answer. If you say, or if you ask someone that if I want to invest into AI, what should I look at? So of course, there are also CPU companies, there are also memory chips, but they are not as important or vital like GPU companies. So narrow, and there are only just a few companies that are very, very good in what they are making, which is the GPUs, right? I can only name two companies, or even throw it most at most three, right? Intel, AMD, and Nvidia. And if you look deeper or you dig deeper into how these three GPU making companies have been developing or riding on the AI trend, you see that Nvidia's annual report or even the earnings presentation, they are the ones mentioning the most when it comes to AI development. Even OpenAI comes out and say, hey, I have been using GPUs produced by NVIDIA for my LLM, large language model, ChatGPT, and a lot of other companies which are, doubling down on their AI initiative software and even computer. They are actually using NVIDIA's GPU. And NVIDIA also announced that they have a specific kind of GPU that is catered to LLM and also image generation for software companies like Midjourney, etc., like that. So from there, the trend and the excitement came in when Nvidia actually, reported or upgraded their guidance for the upcoming quarter, where they see potential 55% increase of revenue against what Wall Street has previously predicted. So that is actually one of the main reasons that Nvidia stock price went up, but also the other semicon companies' prices as well. So TSMC saw their share price went up, AMD as well. I think most of the semicon companies actually saw their share price went up as well because of NVIDIA's revised guidance. But at the end of the day, I think there's still some concerns and threats since now that the economic climate is uncertain. But I don't know, what do you think? Do you see this revised guidance as a sure win for NVIDIA and you should just close your eyes and, scoop out as much shares as possible? Or I think the other side is that the current economic climate, the debt ceiling of the US, which one will actually make you change or make a decision in terms of investing into AI?
Yeah, if you look into like the result of it, of course the surprising part is the guidance. It's like you tell all the Wall Street analysts, you guys just bullshit. Look at my number. I'm telling you I'm able to achieve that, and then the number is significantly higher, which is for me caught us by surprise. And of course, I think that day pre-market is already up by 30%. So it's something that it is quite a movement, and I think the hype is still there. So if you talk about the figures, you look into this, it seems, I mean, there have been a lot of headline talking. They are the sixth largest company in the world by market value. But of course, there are also a few facts you need to look into it. In terms of the total number generated by them, or in terms of total income generated by them, they are not even top 100. So this is some of the fact. Indeed, there are some
Yeah,
hype behind it. But of course, some of the term that you typically will use is fear of missing out, FOMO again. But some of the things that
yeah,
you should take a look. Another, I would say a good indicator is if you look into the price to sales ratio, you can easily find it out from the website like uh, Morningstars, things like that. You can, or trading views, you can just take a look. Right now, it's actually quite high after the recent high, the recent progress. It almost similar to the time where Nvidia also have a rush due to the COVID during the COVID periods, and then there is a hype in a lot of things like cryptocurrency, things like that. But for me, this time round is more solid compared to last time. So last time people fear of it, people just go into cryptocurrency, go into blockchain. Uh, if you follow our channel, you will know we are not a strong believer about it. We do acknowledge blockchain is a good technology, but then there are too much unnecessary stuff being go in and then go up into some value that
Speculation. Yeah.
doesn't, yeah, it doesn't make sense anymore. But this time around, this AI is, for me, is real. I literally use it every day. And for me to get the perfect answer from this chat GPT, it basically run off all this hardware. So uh, even though it hit to a historical high somewhere from a price to sales ratio perspective, but then you need to take a look into the context. So there are pros and cons. There are also something you should take note before you go into this rush. But again, from figure perspective, it's definitely overpriced, but there are different reasoning behind it. So I don't know
Yeah.
about you, Japan. Maybe you want to give a few key points just to summarize it off. Then we can end the session today. Then we will talk about something different in next week.
So I think going through COVID, seeing stock prices getting depressed, and then even after that, when the market rebounded, and then the whole world faced with hyperinflation, there was also many events and instances where the market sold down also as well. Um, it taught me one crucial thing that um, now is not the time to be crazy, to pay crazy valuation kind of money for prospective companies. So because back then, during COVID, when most economies or even countries or central banks around the world, when they actually lowered down the interest rate, they actually helped to stimulate growth for tech companies. That was why there was a period where we saw tech company shares went up 100%, 200%, and even for the small one, it went up to as high as 500, 600%. But when Federal Reserves of the US actually started to increase the borrowing rates, you see that these are the companies that also got knocked down really, really hard when it comes to their prospects and also their uh, prospects as well. So you see SaaS company trading at very, very low valuation. You can easily say that some of them are actually at historical low, companies like Snowflake, C Limited as well. So I think that going through that entire cycle also gave me a little bit of lesson and also reminder that yes, these companies might uh, be pivotal and also can change how we work and we understand and we use the internet in the future. But when it comes to the big picture, the current economic climate, never, never, ever discount the fact that uncertainty in the market can actually make your company share price go down faster than you can think. So, of course, I don't doubt the power and the prospects and the excitement that AI is bringing to us, and particularly how Nvidia has been so confident to providing a very, very, fabulous kind of guidance for upcoming quarters. But if the market were to crash tomorrow, if recession were to happen, if the Russian-Ukraine war suddenly takes a change for the worse, don't you think that the share price of Nvidia has shot up so much can also easily come back down in a split second when bad events or black swan events happen. So this is something that has actually made me think a bit deeper. So I can only say that I'm thankful that I have been a long-term invested into Nvidia back then instead of now asking whether should I get into it or not. But from a individual point of view and an individual opinion, now is not a good time to actually start any long position with Nvidia because of the uncertainties. If the economic regime were to be low interest rates, everything is okay, then probably you can make the kind of bet to buy a company at a higher valuation. But now it's a bit tough, in my personal opinion.
Okay, so I think this summarize the format that we are going to cover on a weekly basis moving forward. It will be a little
Yep.
bit casual. We can touch on a lot of topic as and when, but then they also will be some sort of topics being narrowed down to a certain extent. Like today is about AI in a way, but of course AI is quite broad. We can always come back to AI from a different angle. So next week
Yep.
we don't know what we're going to cover, but it definitely will be something related to the current issue. Current
Yep.
issues. And then if something that's very, very interesting, we will actually share it with you. Like we shared about AI 孙燕姿, you should definitely go and listen to it. I really like the cover, even though it's not covered by a real person. But all these
Yep.
things is just the beauty of AI. So if you have anything you want us to cover, any particular thing like property markets, property segments, for example, how does it look like from a stock market perspective? You can put inside the comment section. We will try to cover, if possible, in the coming week. I think that's all
Yep.
from me. If you like the video, remember to give a like and also share it out to your friends and family.
All right. We'll see you in
That's
the
all.
next week's episode. Take care. Bye bye.